2010 gave us some of the best animated movies of our generation. This includes films like Megamind, How to Train Your Dragon and Toy Story 3. But if I had to choose a favourite as a Pixar guy, I gotta go Toy Story 3. The fact that it was only the third animated movie in history to be nominated for Best Picture speaks volumes to how universally beloved this film truly is. This is not a joke. Even though Cars 2 has its fair share of haters, I am not one of them. 2011 was a pretty weak year for animated films in general. In my eyes, Rio was the only real competitor to Cars 2, at least for me. But what gives Cars 2 the edge is how fun I personally find the film with its stupid but fun spy plot. Wreck-It Ralph is where Disney finally cracked the code on an enjoyable film predominantly aimed at male audiences. From an outside perspective, you'd think that Brave was the Disney film and Wreck-It Ralph would be the Pixar one, but surprisingly no, they switched formula for the year 2012. It's so funny that at the time Monsters University came out, nobody seemed to care. Yes, it turned a profit, but I don't remember many people singing its praises back then. I remember spending way too much on the sticker book collection and have always found it a very entertaining film. I really can't be happier that others are starting to think the same nowadays. 2014 was the toughest year for me to pick a favourite. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is my favourite of the franchise. I adore Peabody and Sherman, Lego Movie is a film which shouldn't have worked but absolutely did, and Big Hero 6 is right up my alley. But in the end, I surprisingly settled for Penguins of Madagascar. I can't even explain why, but for whatever reason, I just really enjoy the humour in here. Pete Docter is simply a genius, which is why he was promoted to Chief Executive Officer of Pixar following John Lasseter's departure. Inside Out went beyond just being an entertaining film and thought-provoking one at that. But it's actually shown in schools to teach children the importance of mental health, which I absolutely love. Disney Animation blessed us with Moana and Zootopia in 2016, both of which could be argued as the best of that year. But I'm gonna say, after just rewatching Zootopia 2 days ago, my love for this film has skyrocketed. There isn't any world where I could possibly choose Moana over it. I'm still stunned by the certain location visited in this film, which as a child went right over my head. But now I'm like, wow Disney, you really went there, didn't you? Coco is a strange one, as it didn't technically come out in the UK until early 2018. But since it hit most of the world in 2017, I think it's fair to put the film in this bracket. Pixar taught us about Mexican culture in such a unique and lively way where it didn't feel like a copy of Book of Life. But in my opinion, it went deeper in its more emotional elements than Book of Life ever did. Most people would go Spider-Verse for 2018, but I'm actually going to go Incredibles 2. Again, this might be a little biased with rewatching Incredibles 2 yesterday, but being a continuation to one of my favourite films of all time, it makes it where I pretty much have to love the film. I've started to realise that this video is going to be filled with controversy. In all fairness, I nearly went with Netflix's Klaus for 2019, but in the end I have to go with Toy Story 4, as after all, Toy Story is my favourite franchise. This is a great Woody story, and I think they handled Bo's return quite nicely. It was just the decision of introducing a bunch of new characters whilst benching all our old favourites, which still doesn't sit right with me to this day. I think Soul is the film which speaks to me more than any other film from the last 10 years. I never expected Pixar to delve this deep into things like exploring what happens after we leave this earth, as well as the importance of generally enjoying our jobs. But once again, Pete Docter pulled this off magnificently.